Dusit International, Dusit Hotels and Resorts, is actually the oldest Thai hotel company. In fact, it's the second oldest hotel company in Asia, I think after the imperial hotels in Japan. So we've been around since the 1940s. The founder is still very much with us. She's, I believe she's in her 90s. She still comes into the Hotel Dusit Bangkok. She was a law student in the US, and she was absolutely impressed with the way that the efficiency of hotels in the United States as well as in Japan. So she decided that she wanted to take that hotel concept, that efficiency, that professionalism, and imbue it with Thai hospitality and create a hospitality brand in Thailand. So she was way ahead of her time. And I think that she's definitely, she has a legacy. Her son is now currently the chief executive officer, and her grandchildren are very involved in the company. So it is very much a family-run company, but publicly listed on the Thailand Stock Exchange. What is the Dusit philosophy? The Dusit philosophy is to deliver an exceptional experience that reflects the unique artistry and culture of Thailand. We like to think that we own the Thai space in terms of our service delivery, our, come on, sit down, we have more seats. In terms of the experience our guests have at all of our hotels and resorts, whether it's in Thailand or in any of our other locations around the world. Our vision is to be considered amongst the most valued Asian hospitality brands. Our focus is primarily on development within Asia, but we've expanded now far beyond Asia and will continue to expand. Just to give you a quick snapshot of the company, our founder, Tam Pin Yong, she conceived the brand, conceived the hospitality company in 1948. She opened her first hotel in 1949. She borrowed money from her parents. Can you imagine in 1949 a Thai lady? I mean, quite impressive, well ahead of her time. And she opened a 20-room hotel called the Princess Hotel. And the Princess brand still exists today. In 1970, the flagship hotel, which is located not too far from here, the Dusit Bangkok, opened its doors. So it's still here today. It's in a very prominent location on Ceylon Road, opposite Lumpini Park. And that continues, that remains our flagship hotel in Thailand. And then in 1987, they started to really expand into the resort space, and they opened the Dusit Hua Hin and Dusit Pattaya. Then the founder, Tam Pin Yong, she felt that it was very, very important to develop young people, and so she actually introduced Dusit College. She wanted to have an education component, an education brand, as part of the hospitality company to train young Thai people and people from around the region to basically become hoteliers and to work within the hospitality industry. So the first Dusit College opened in 1993. Interestingly enough, it was she opened it not so much from a business perspective, but it now is one of the most profitable divisions of the company. We have expanded into Pattaya, and we also have, we're opening a hotel school. We've also opened a hotel school in the Philippines, in Manila, in 1995. Now, at the beginning of 2000, we started to grow the brand a little bit more further afield with the opening of Dusit Dubai, which is a very successful property on Zayed Road. Followed by we launched the Dusit D2 brand. So this was essentially our second generation brand of hotels and resorts, a more contemporary, smaller, less upscale, more design-centric concept. Following which we opened Dusit La Cordon Bleu, which is, we have the rights for this brand in Southeast Asia. Very, very successful school, fully enrolled, very profitable. At that time, our name, we changed our branding positioning from Dusit Hotels and Resorts to Dusit International. We also continue to expand in the Middle East with our service departments. We opened 2 serviced residences in the Middle East. Then in 2007, we signed a joint venture with Bird Group in India, and that's to build and open hotels in India. And Dusitani Lakeview Cairo opened in the same year. Dusitani College opened a few years later in Pattaya. We're very proud to open Dusitani Maldives, which is really the new generation of the Dusitani brand. And we just opened a couple of weeks ago in Dusitani Abu Dhabi. So lots of activity, in particular over the last few years. About 2 to 3 years ago, we made a strategic decision that in order to really ensure the success and the longevity of the brand, and particularly given the turmoil in Thailand at that time, that not to have all our eggs in one basket and to continue our international expansion. So a team of people were brought in to complement the existing team, and we started to really expand the brand. We opened regional sales offices in Shanghai, in Beijing, in Japan, consolidated all of a larger marketing office in London. We also signed a joint venture for China with Dusit Fudu. So Dusit Fudu Hotels and Resorts were born actually this year. Our first property opened in June, and we have a joint venture agreement for 10 properties, but we will continue to open many more, hopefully beyond the 10 properties that we've currently signed for. Then we launched a new brand, which was conceived a number of years ago. Our first property in India, so the Dusit Devarana brand arrived with the opening of Dusit Devarana New Delhi on September 1st. And we opened 2 weeks ago, as I mentioned, Dusitani Abu Dhabi. Okay, just to give you a flavor for our growth and expansion, these are properties which are opening soon. Okay, many of which are in China, the Middle East, also the US, Eastern Africa and Kenya. And we continue, of course, in Thailand, although Thailand is not a primary focus, but we continue to open in Thailand with Khao Yai opening in 2015. These are projects currently under development. The hotel you see here is actually Dusitani Laguna, Singapore, which will be a major MICE property opening in late 2015, early 2016, located on the Laguna Golf Course in Singapore. So really the only property in Singapore located actually on a golf course. And it'll have great MICE opportunities, facilities, and of course the location is very, very nearby the airport, so great access. But you can see our development plans are very aggressive, from Turkey to Myanmar to the Philippines, China, as I mentioned, India, of course. Now, for such a small company, we actually have a lot of brands, which keeps our director of brand very busy. The Dusitani brand, of course, is our flagship brand. And as I mentioned, with the opening of Dusitani Maldives, and of course now Dusitani Abu Dhabi, we have a very, I would say, the new generation of the Dusitani. It's a little more luxurious, a little bit more contemporary, but still very Thai. Very much we maintain that Thai centricity, which is our trademark. Generation Dusit, the brand, as I mentioned, was launched 6 or 7 years ago, but in fact we've put much more focus on it in the last several years. We've had some great traction. We've got nearly a dozen new D2 properties opening over the next 18 to 24 months. So this is our Generation Dusit, again, more contemporary, smaller, less facilities, but very much not necessarily for the young generation, but it's more of a demographic-wise different generation. And third, our Dusit Devarana brand is continuing to grow. We've got about 6 or 7 properties on the pipeline, most of which are in India and China. And that brand really is more about, well, I'll explain a little bit more about the brand in a moment. Dusit Princess, which is our original hotel, which opened in 1949, still remains alive and well. Just to give you a flavor for some of our properties, Dusit Bangkok. So Dusit brand is, as I mentioned, the flagship brand. It's a brand that provides an experience of genuine warmth, respectfulness of its people, its traditional Thai grandeur, rich heritage, and renowned hospitality. I think most of you are aware that Thailand, well, Bangkok actually, became the #1 most visited city in the world this year. So it now ranks Paris, London, New York, etc. And I think there's no question that the Thainess, the Thai culture, the Thai food, the Thai people, the multiple layers that you find in this culture is universally appealing. And as a tourism destination, Thailand just continues to grow and grow and grow, especially in the MICE space. And I think that, you know, the Thainess that we bring to our product, particularly even in international locations, is really really our USP. So there's Dusit Abu Dhabi, which just opened. Dusit Dubai, Dusit Walk-in, which was our first resort hotel. Dusit Devarana brand is a little bit more of a Pan-Asian brand with Thai touches. So it's really a more intimate, smaller, generally a resort property for individual travelers, both high-end leisure as well as high-end business travelers. So quite a different concept. You can see the space. I mean, the room size in our Dusit Devarana New Delhi is 50 square meters. It has the largest swimming pool in New Delhi. It's on a beautiful, beautiful palatial grounds. Very unique property. Dusit D2, again, more fun, more contemporary, more colorful. Some of our products, D2 in Pattaya. Dusit Princess, solid 4-star business brand hotel, very successful. We currently have 3 properties in Thailand and are growing the brand internationally as well. Now, okay, Dusit meetings and events. Well, our strategies. I wanted to really just talk about sort of the big picture in terms of our plans as a company. We, first of all, have deployed, as I mentioned, a number of dedicated regional offices in key feeder markets who are the primary source of new business for meetings and events. The hospitality, Thai hospitality, as I mentioned, is imbued in every guest touch point across the group. That's really how we differentiate ourselves from our competitors, whether it's in, as I mentioned, Bangkok or Abu Dhabi. And the majority of hotels under development feature very expansive and unique meeting facilities. Currently, 22% of our revenue for the group, consolidated revenue, derives from the meetings and events segment. So very substantial. Whether you're looking at Hua Hin or Bangkok, Dusit Bangkok actually has more revenue from its events and food and beverage and catering than it does from its rooms revenue. Hua Hin has its own convention center. Pattaya, we have very expansive convention facilities. So the original concept, long before MICE was even coined, the company was very focused on the MICE segment. And there's no question that the MICE segment is not only high yield, of course, business, but it also helps to really fuel other segments such as our corporate, etc. So it's always historically been a very, very, very important component of our mix, and it's increasingly so. And you'll see that with some of our new projects. Our goal by 2015 is to grow the revenue, the MICE revenue, to 28% of our overall revenue mix. And that's obviously from a much larger pie as we continue to grow the number of hotels. This hotel that you see in Lakeview, Cairo, strangely enough, has actually made their budget this year on the revenue side from meetings. They have become one of the key meetings hotels in Egypt. In fact, they have, I mean, not so much a MICE event, but just to give you an indication, they have over 300 weddings a year. They have, they can accommodate well over 1,200 in theater style, and I believe they've had cocktails for up to 2,500. They have absolutely magnificent meeting space. And during this crisis that's been going on, they have leveraged on domestic meetings to achieve their revenue targets. Currently, we have about 24 hotels that are open, and by 2015, we're planning to grow to 35 hotels in operation. By 2018, we'll have 50 hotels in operation. The meetings and events will remain a primary focus. Just to look at some of the plans underway, we have expansive and unique meeting facilities planned for Dusit. Well, Dusit Abu Dhabi has the highest atrium in the world, and it is a magnificent space for events. In fact, we had our opening there on September 16th, and it was just absolutely a magnificent venue. You can do many, many, many different types of events in that venue. Dusit Laguna, Singapore, as I mentioned, I showed you a photo earlier, has fantastic grounds, full use of all of it. There's 2 world-class golf courses and many, many facilities which are geared for meetings and events. Dusit Jingyang, excuse my pronunciation, will also have a large conference center. And Dusit Hainan is Dusit Devarana, rather, Hainan has its own conference center. Guam, which we're opening in early second quarter of 2014, has actually been given the name by the government as the Guam Conference Center at the Dusit. So it will be the largest conference center in Guam, which is increasingly a MICE. Obviously, it's very much a MICE destination for Northern Asia, but increasingly it's diversifying its mix with Russia and many other markets coming there because of its beautiful beaches and weather and amazing hotels and facilities. So the Guam Convention Center at the Dusit will open next year. I mentioned Dusit Devarana Hainan Hot Springs and Conference Center. So again, many of our new hotels, whether it's a Dusit brand, the Dusit Devarana brand, will feature major conference facilities. We've also rolled out our Dusit Meetings and Events brand and a Dusit Meetings and Events corporate manual to ensure that we have consistency across each of the brands and each of the properties of all of our MICE offerings, all of our services, and the product itself. The next step of this is Dorinda's going to roll out one for our clients as well. MICE initiatives, of course, green meetings. I mean, that's nothing new in the meetings landscape, but just wanted to highlight the initiatives that we've undertaken. Of course, if you can just take a look at some of the things we're doing, it's very important to us. We are, in particular, a lot of things that we're doing at Dusit Maldives, which is a heritage site, is UNESCO site, is we're launching there. Just to give you an idea, so we have a sustainable partnership with EarthCheck. So all of our hotels have been, all of our Dusit hotels have been silver certified, are on the way to be gold certified, and we have many, many initiatives with them, particularly with the Maldives and with all of our other properties. So that's it. I just wanted to give you a quick overview of the company and where we're going and the importance of MICE as our key segment for the organization. I'd love to answer any questions that you have. So, Dorinda.